Yeah, so the block schedule I think is going to be awesome once I'm used to it. You know, it's like I've never taught on a block schedule before. You have though, right?
I have. I have. I love it.
Yeah. So with math, how does that work? Do you lecture a certain amount of time and then have them work through stuff? How do you work on the pacing?
Well, usually we'll cover something new, and then I'll have them work some problems. We have an opportunity to go over them, and then we can actually sometimes do something else new. When we get into it a little bit more, if there's some activities, they'll have time to do the activities somewhere in between. Instead of having to do, as we called it today, the seventh inning stretch.
So yeah, for me, I had drummers drumming the whole like that first day. I was sitting there thinking like I don't know how I'm gonna do this. Like I drummed with them the whole time. We took a little break in between, but I think that yeah, you have to kind of find that balance between here I'm gonna show you what to do. We can do it together, and then you can practice on your own or in groups or from a safe distance, of course. But
Of course. And I think it's going to be awesome for the science for them to be able to do labs, because instead of having 50 minutes, you get in there and you get it set up and then the bell rings. They can get in there, get it set up, do the whole lab, collect all their data, and clean up all in one day. So I think the labs are going to be remarkable.
yeah, you're right because it is closer to what a college lab uh, schedule would be. Is yeah, I remember that even in 3 4 hour labs in college where I'm going like I need more time to really delve into this. So yeah, I hadn't thought of that. See, that's why I have you on, Miss Wilson. You know things I don't know. Well, how you been holding up during all this COVID business? What'd you do during the spring and summer to keep yourself busy?
Well, in the spring, it was just like trying to, you know, see the kids and get them on schedule and, try to record the meetings and have Zoom meetings. And it was just busy, except when you weren't with them. And then if the internet was working okay at home, it was okay. But if not, you got farther and farther behind, so. But this COVID stuff and staying at home absolutely drives me crazy. But I try.
Oh, same. I'm really happy to be back. It feels good to. This is our first full week with students in the building, and while it doesn't look the same, it is so nice and so great to like. It's Friday. This is the first Friday that feels like Friday because you were at work for 4 previous days. It's a real weekend we got coming up. You got some weekend plans?
Not major plans, no. Just a few little things, but I'll go to church and, I have signed up so that I'm one of the few that, so. But I'll go to church and I'll have the son and daughter-in-law for lunch on Sunday.
See, that's great. That's great. Getting it back into a rhythm, back into a routine is definitely, I don't take it for granted, that's for sure.
No, not anymore. And things we used to take for granted, yeah, that's in the past.
Absolutely. So what math classes are you teaching this year?
I have geometry and I have advanced math plus, I have AP calculus, and then I have an ACT prep science class. So I have one that's not math.
Really? Okay, so you could have helped me out. Geometry was always I never understood how numbers and shapes went together. Like I was pretty good at other maths, but geometry really got me for whatever reason.
Well, geometry is one of those that it's something that most people use in their everyday lives. They just don't realize it. Um, and it's really heavy on the ACT. But usually, if people don't do well in algebra, then they do really well in geometry. And sometimes it's the other way around. So they do
Yeah.
well in algebra, but they don't do well in geometry. So it's more of a spatial class, and you sometimes have to visualize things. And sometimes that's a challenge, even for me.
Well, do you find that people who tend to be good at visual art are also good at geometry?
Yes, most definitely.
And see, I was terrible at visual art. Like I had a teacher who said once that, if you can draw a straight line, I can teach you how to draw anything. And my line looked, I don't know, it was like It was just squiggles. He's like, are you kidding? I remember going, no, I tried my best. So maybe that's what it was. It's not whatever part of the brain that is responsible for, I guess visualizing. I'm more of an auditory learner, talk out loud and stuff. So that's interesting. So Advanced Math Plus, what is that?
That's kind of a bridge between pre-calculus or the Algebra 3, which has the pre-calculus in it, and going to college. So it's usually for seniors, and it's that bridge between, like before you go to calculus.
So you're really getting people ready for college.
That's the plan.
See, I needed a Miss Wilson when I was in school. I'd be going to space.
There you go. It's amazing. So I've enjoyed having the kids this week. Probably the happiest but yet saddest moment I had this week with the kids is I had one little girl that said, Miss Wilson, I just want to give you a hug. And knowing we couldn't have a hug just kind of hurt, but it was the sweetest thing for her to say that.
That is, wow, that's special, honestly.
It is special.
But that's tough because you can't, you have to keep your distance. And well, that's one of the reasons we're doing this on Zoom. I'm in one side of the building. We're in the same building, but we would have had to have our masks on if we did this in the same room. So even something like this is it's definitely different, but you still get to do it. That's the other thing. Okay, it's different, but you still get to do it. You still get to have conversations and
exactly.
So that's got to be a highlight though. If we just think about the positive aspect of that. I mean, how many highlights? I've had at least 20 this week so far. Like, what are some of the things that you loved about this week?
That's just one of them. But the first thing was actually getting to see them. Maybe not their faces and their smiles, which that was one of the first things I enjoyed when we went to the Google Meet so that we could see them. I said, okay, this may be the only time I get to see your smiles all year, because of the mask. But just actually having them in class, and it was like one after the other, and they just touch your heart so much because we have such good kids here.
Yeah, it really is a good group of people that are assembled in this building. And I felt the same way. It got me that first day when we were actually just drumming together. Like I already like that activity, but something about it was just like, I didn't cry, but I probably could have, because it was so special. And man, we had it so good before COVID. That's the other thing, is you're used to these regulations and distance, whatever. And I just think about before COVID, man, we had it so good. And it's going to be so exciting when we do get back to that. It's important to remember that we will get back to it. But man, such a new appreciation for just simple things.
Exactly. Kind of like the little girl, I told her, I said, one day we'll get to hug. One day.
And it's going to be an amazing hug.
Absolutely.
So how are you adapting to teaching math? Do you have distance learners as well, people who are learning from home?
I do.
So how do you adapt that within your classroom when you have people in person that you're teaching, but then you're also using Google Meet to reach your distance learners?
It's kind of been a struggle. We've had to kind of deal with the technology problems. My Promethean board is not one of the newer ones, and so it's hard for them to see the Promethean board if I were to put my laptop in front of it. Now, some of the teachers are really good. They can take a desk and they put their laptop in front of it and their kids can see it. But I have to leave my laptop turned in front of my monitor for them to be able to see what's on there. When I did that, then they couldn't hear me. So I had to go out and get a microphone. And so then sometimes a microphone picks up the little noises, and unless the students have the high-speed internet at home, sometimes it cuts in and out. And that's sometimes been an issue. But we've been dealing with it. We've been working along. They let me know if they're having issues. and we have office hours this year. So they send me little messages, and I have one that's actually, we're going to do some me classes like after 3 o'clock, because she has class when I have office hours. So we have to kind of adapt to that. But it's coming. It's coming. It's not perfect yet, but it's coming.
Well, I don't think anybody's perfect yet. The fact that you're able to adapt and make those changes and adjustments based on the hand you're dealt, that speaks to. I mean, you're an all-star teacher, Miss Wilson. That speaks to your abilities, and yeah, don't downplay that at all. You what?
It's because I have all-star students.
That's what it is. All-star teacher, all-star students. Yeah, there's a lot of rolling with the punches this year, and it's the same for me too. Trying to get, I've had serious anxiety about it, honestly. Like, how am I gonna, how am I gonna get this done? It's worked in every class so far, being able to connect and talk with students who are learning from a distance. But going into this year is like, I know it's gonna be okay, but I don't know exactly how it's going to be okay.
I mean, I even thought about one time, I said, oh, can I go home? Just let me go home. I'm just old. I can't do this. But, then I had to talk myself out of that and say, okay, we can do this, because everybody around the world's having to do that this year. So we just adapt and overcome.
Yeah, teachers worldwide are all having that moment.
Exactly.
I've said it before. I just need to get back into the shape of teaching, because we stopped after spring break. There are no teachers alive today who have had 6 months off, a forced break like we had. So it's getting back into the swing of things. There's always going to be growing pains with that, just because, we've been away from it for so long,
Absolutely. And I've heard so many teachers this way say how tired they are this week. And I just think it is because we're getting used to a new plan. And I think once we get into it, it'll just flow. But right now, we're having to really work and dig to get there.
Well, and I appreciate you being honest about it too, because the students feel that way as well. I mean, everybody this is a serious reckoning where, like, okay, you got to get up early every day. You got to be there. You got to leave your house. There's certain things that we just didn't have to do for a long time that would be hard regardless, right? But wearing a mask, trying to make sure your distance, it does cost extra energy. But I think the reason I'm able to get through it is I know it's worth it. It's important to be here. It's really important to be here.
It is. If we're not here for the kids, who is going to be here for them?
And I remember, as much as I used to like, when I was in high school, I remember it was just cool to not like school. It was cool to not like school. But something about that routine of just having a place to go that's not your house to break up the monotony is so vital, and getting to see your friends, and there's something to be said for that. And, it's one of those, you don't realize it before, until it's taken away, where, man, I just need to see other people. We don't even need to talk. I just need to know other people exist.
Exactly. So there are people out there in the world. It's not just me and the dogs.
Right. It's not just, there's people out in the world, and they're not just in the Facebook comment section.
Right.
I'm just so excited about this year, honestly. I'm really curious to see what challenges this year brings and how we're going to overcome them, like me overcoming saying words right now. But it's going to be really interesting to see the hurdles that are laid in front of us and how we as a community get over them.
And it's so good to see that there's, we have some of those younger teachers, like even you, that get this technology stuff, and y'all are willing to share with those of us who are not really technology savvy. And the sharing has just been, everybody's just stepped up. It's not been just step back and let somebody else do it. It's like step up and do it. Come see me, I will help you.
Mm-hmm.
We'll do that. And the kids that are doing virtual learning at home, you know, they're like, okay, this isn't working for me. What can we do? Because I got an email from one yesterday that said, you know, I'm having trouble. What can we do? So we just worked out a plan. And so we have a different plan, and they sent me an email back that said, thank you so much for the new plan, and we'll try it and see how it works, and we give each other feedback. That's the way it has to go.
Right, and it's bringing people together, you know. It's really bringing people together, and it's especially with distance learners too. It's important for those kids to know that they're not alone, that they do have a support structure outside of the house, you know. That, I mean, you can never have too many supporters, right?
Right.
And you're the thing is though, like even myself, I over the once they canceled school, I worked on editing videos, really just trying to work on technological things that would help with this talk show, podcast, whatever you want to call it. And even the school, but even starting school though, like I was nervous, and I had months of like preparation on just technology going into it. So it's important to like be honest about that too, that even people who are tech savvy, you know, it's just doing something new can be scary, but at the same time, because it's scary, it's incredibly gratifying. I mean, I remember trying to go on Space Mountain with my dad, and he said, "You're going to love it." I said, "No, I'm going to freak out. I'm going to hate it. I'm going to hate it." And it's my favorite roller coaster ever, you know? And that's what we're doing. This is the roller coaster, and it seems scary, but when you're done, you're going to be so stoked that you did it. So I think that's exciting to be a part of.
Mm-hmm. It is. It's exciting to be a part of all of Sacred Heart. The parents have been so nice about everything. The kids have been good. I still make mistakes. I have a third period class, and I always post their assignments for second period. And they're like, I told them, I said, please forgive me. I'm just not used to it yet. And they just laugh and go on with me. So we can laugh together about the mistakes. And I tell them, hey, look, I'm human. I'm going to make those mistakes too. So let's get through it together.
I think key word there is human. It's good for everybody to be here so you can see the humanity in your brothers and sisters. Like, it's very easy to feel like you lose that when you're isolated. But you can't lose sight of that. You can't lose your humanity. You can't lose your hope. And I tell you what, I'm filled with hope being back here and being around teachers like you. Miss Wilson, thank you for sitting down and doing this on your planning period. You know, this is the first podcast we've done when in school, when students are here.
And I should be doing lesson plans instead.
So on that note, I'm gonna let you get to it. Do you have a message for any of your students you wanna throw out there on the internet?
Just hang in there, and we will all get through this together. And I want them to always remember, I love them. They're mine. Sorry, parents, you have to share.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Miss Wilson. I really appreciate your time. You have an awesome rest of your day, and have an awesome weekend.
You too. You too. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye. All right. That was awesome. Thanks, Miss Wilson.